So there's a nice hierarchical chain of command to throw information down, and so there's lots of ways to do that in a structured manner. But you really find the nexus of the unstructured communications, the word of mouth, the bloggings, the all hands emails, the all hands meetings. So you communicate in a way that you enable the communicators to continue the journey of aligning thought and value propositions around cybersecurity investments. One of the biggest things that we encountered was, I need to make sure that every user has a certain amount of skills as they engage the network to do their job. We took it for granted that you log in with your user ID and password and off you go. I was one of the people selected to roll out smart cards for the United States Navy, and so it was a giant change to how you were going to log on to the network, giant change, and how you were going to call yourself a member of the United States Navy. It was a different ID card. And the change management initiative was really persistence, thoroughness, and a deliberate demonstration of the value proposition on the other side, so that you diffused all the questions and concerns and challenges. And there was a point in time when there were several commands who said, I'm just not doing it. And then you could pull out the letter from the Deputy Secretary of Defense said, yes, you are. But you never had, if you didn't have to do that all the better. Yeah. And those suddenly they got over it. And sometimes you had to push them, but sometimes they were, and there was always a few that give me mine. I want to be first. Yeah. Okay. So to me, it's a persistence to ensure that you're touching all the right people and then enable those people to continue to communicate the message.
I mean, a couple of examples that people kind of came up when we asked them, they're saying, we're thinking of offering some training to parents about, cybersecurity for kids. Yes. And as much as it's valid to say that probably that's the kids that don't need so much of that training, suddenly we've taken this idea of cybersecurity and we've made it meaningful to people. And I think the skills that people develop in that type of training are perfectly transferable back into their workplace. Right. And I think that was a big point of this.
Yeah, it was a good point. Yeah.
We're not dealing with different problems. Yeah. Like, here you are in business worried about my password security, and I need to be worried about that in my personal life. And you're worried about phishing emails and ransomware attacks. And turns out that most of those are actually directed at people at home, so I need to be worried about that too. So all the things you're worried about, I'm worried about. Yeah. So in theory, if you were just to teach me the things that I needed to know, it would also be the things that you needed me to know. Yeah. But yeah, interesting that we haven't seemed to have come over from that direction.
Yeah. We tend to treat employees as risks and as the weakest link, and we use all this terminology that suggests that they don't actually have the power to be a strong security agent. So the language we use needs to change. We need to really think about our employees as security agents. Arm them with tools, make it really personal for them. So rather than talking about what's in it for us, the company, how can the tools and the techniques and the tips we give them help them at home as well? That these are human beings. I mean, they want to be able to be secure in their home life just as much as they do when they come into the office. Okay. So, change our rhetoric, really make it personal, and think like a marketeer would be the third aspect. So audience-based awareness rather than just one size fits all. If I'm an application developer, I'm going to have a very different set of security questions than if I'm somebody that works in, let's say, on a branch center of a bank, for example. So we have to tailor our training based on the recipients rather than just everybody take an e-learning or everybody read this policy document.
Wow, that's so that's so insightful, because I've never heard that before. Think like a marketer. And then how about the actual delivery of those modules? Because we are used to reading really long documents and then just either sign or answer a few questions and then you're done. But does not help us retain a lot of things in our head.
It really doesn't, does it? And everyone knows the adage about, if you read something versus if you see it versus if you do. Yes. So we are trying to get more and more immersive in the way that we run our training sessions. So worst case scenario, you would give somebody, as you said, a policy document, read this, tick the box. Well, it keeps the regulators happy. But are you actually changing their understanding? Probably not, right? They want to go back to their day job straight. I have never met anyone that wants to do more e-learning, for example, right? However, if you can shift that balance to doing, the chances of retention, but also their ability to understand the inherent risk can only increase. So one of the tools that we're using, for example, is discussions around cyber case studies. So industry news that might have happened, whether it's BA or Marriott or Uber, discuss what happened. What would you have done, especially if it was the human angle that led to the breach? So what could you have done differently, and what are the types of information you need from us to help you do that? So get them involved, get them doing, get them discussing, rather than being passive agents of data overload, because no one responds well to that, do they?